Did you know New Zealand has a lot of deadly animals? Okay, it's not Australia and doesn't have that many, but it still has some deadly animals that are worth keeping an eye out, especially if you're visiting with children. Hi, I'm Emily and I run the Organised Mum Lifestyle YouTube channel. Posting every Friday about our adventures living and working in New Zealand with my family and my 2 and 3-year-old toddlers. New Zealand's only native poisonous spider is the Katipo spider. It lives in the sand dunes on beaches and it is extremely rare. I have lived in New Zealand for 6 years and I have never seen one. Travelling the whole of New Zealand multiple times, I have still never seen one. It actually looks like the black widow spider. It sounds horrible. It is very timid, it is very rare, and actually it isn't lethal if it bites you, but if you do get bitten, seek medical attention. Whereas the Katipo spider is pretty rare, the white-tailed spider came over from Australia and it is very common. We remove them from our house regularly. They are all over our house. We often find them on the balcony, in the garden, hidden underneath things. Don't very often find them in the house. They bite. It's not a venomous bite, but it's actually quite painful and can cause gangrene. I do know people who've been bitten by them. I have not, but we do maintain them within our house and make sure when we see them that they are removed. And we do bug bombs in our house to stop them from coming inside. So thanks Australia for bringing that one over. Another thing we can thank Australia for, and the last spider you need to keep an eye out for, is the redback spider. I didn't know until I did the research for this that they are in New Zealand. They accidentally came over from Australia and there are regular sightings, but they don't like the cold weather here, so very rarely survive, so they don't get seen. They are very venomous, very deadly. You must seek immediate attention if you get bitten by a redback spider. I wouldn't say deadly, but oh my goodness, they're annoying. Sandflies. Sandflies are extremely irritating and can be found right across New Zealand. Beautiful locations, places like Milford Sound, they will eat you. They bite, they cause multiple bites, they like more people than others. They are just extremely irritating, causing a really irritating bite. They will be flying around your face. Make sure to use a mosquito repellent, cover up ankles, long sleeve clothes, because they are particularly annoying and bite some people worse than others. On the subject of biting, mosquitoes. Thankfully, we don't have malaria-carrying mosquitoes, but the mosquitoes are very common. Again, like sandflies, they tend to bite people more than others, and you will find some people have reactions to them. But things like closing the windows at night, putting on an insect repellent, long sleeve clothes, they cause an annoying bite, which can be very irritating for children. My children already know what a mosquito bite is, and they're very much aware that they can cause owies. Only small, but just little preventions that you can do, but not deadly. Here in New Zealand, we have sharks, and we do have some great white sharks. Another gift from Australia as they've travelled across the sea. Fatal great white shark attacks are very, very rare. In my research for this, there was one in 2021, and prior to that, there was one in 2013. They're not very common and they're not sighted very often. You do find quite a lot of sharks down by Stewart Island. You can actually go cage diving with sharks. We have some beautiful non-deadly sharks around New Zealand, but again, keeping an eye out for great white shark. Don't let it avoid you going swimming in the beautiful New Zealand beaches. The advice is to swim in clear waters and try and avoid dusk and dawn. We have this curious insect called a Weta. I find many of them in my garden and in the shed, and they are quite scary looking, but they're native to New Zealand. They're not interested in you, they're a bug, but they can bite. They can bite with their pincers and they can cause quite a bite and they don't let go. So be careful with them. It's very rare to be bitten. You do need to aggravate them to cause a bite. You do need to seek medical attention because sometimes you might have to have the Weta removed from your hand. The Portuguese man-of-war jellyfish. It's not uncommon for these to float over to New Zealand. They have a very, very painful sting on their tentacles, and it's very important you seek medical attention if you get stung by one. I remember walking on one of the West Coast beaches and seeing hundreds of thousands of them all over the beach. There had been a huge wash up. It had come over from Australia and there was jellyfish all over the place. I didn't know what they were. You must be careful not to touch them. Keep children and dogs away from them. The Portuguese man-of-war, you do hear if there's been blooms and outbreaks, and they'll often say to avoid certain beaches. We have whales. We have fantastic whales up at Kaikoura, up across Auckland. They do migrations, they move around the world. But obviously we need to be careful. These are large whales. We have orcas and other types of whales, so it's important you avoid these areas and you go with approved boat sightseeing companies. Another mammal of the sea, sea lions. The New Zealand sea lion can be seen again at Kaikoura, it can be seen on multiple islands. I saw them recently in Nelson on a kayaking trip. You must keep your distance for consideration of the animals, especially when they've got pups. They can be very aggressive, they can be very territorial, so keep away from the sea lions and just view them with binoculars. Another one I haven't seen is wild boar. Out in the bush there are wild boar that people do hunt, and you can come across them. In all my hiking and walking, I never have, but they can be quite protective, especially of their very cute piglets. So if you come across any of the piglets, don't go near them because the protective mum might be nearby. We have bees and wasps. Their stings aren't any different to back in the UK or other areas of Europe, but keep an eye out, we do have bees and wasps. I will say, I actually think we've got less wasps than I saw when I lived in the UK, having gone back on a recent trip. But we do have bees because we make fantastic manuka honey. So be considerate that we have bees and wasps and they do sting like any other country. Thank you for watching. New Zealand is a fantastic place and we are very lucky not to have as many dangerous animals as we do in Australia. It is a very safe place, but you do need to be considerate that there are animals that live in this country as well as you. We share this beautiful country with them and they do have ways of protecting themselves from us. I'll see you in my next video.